there's projects built on top of a platform, then the individual projects that are built on top of it can fail and it doesn't affect the layer one.
What's your opinion on, which cryptocurrencies are going to stand the test of time? Let's say we'll put it for 2030 because, everybody has this like 2030, like in 2030, is Bitcoin going to be around? ETH going to be around? Like, are people just going to be, there's going to be like everyday kind of use case? Or do you still think, it's going to be more like a stock market kind of thing where it's just a select group of people?
So I'm going to start off by actually listing a category. So, because I think that's the easiest way to answer this is I'm going to say go with infrastructure-based projects. So like Chainlink is an infrastructure project, right? Or oracles are used in all kinds of different cryptocurrency-based projects. Layer 1 blockchains, layer 0 blockchain infrastructure, layer 2s, right? These projects that other projects are building on top of have a lower risk attached to them. Because think of like the risk as like, ladders, right? If the bottom rung is like a layer 1, then everything built on top of it is a higher risk as you go up, right? So if there's projects built on top of a platform, then the individual projects that are built on top of it can fail and it doesn't affect the layer 1. But if a layer 1, so the baseline project that everything's built on top of fails, then everything that's on that platform fails with it, unless if they become chain agnostic and they build on multiple different blockchains, which is a possibility as well. So I'd say that working with, the infrastructure plays are the safest, kind of like back when the California gold rush took place. The individuals that bought the pans and sold the pans that the panners would use to pan for gold were guaranteed to make money. But if you bought the pans and you tried to pan for gold in order to test your luck and catch something, you more than likely lost money and time on top of it. So in my opinion, going with infrastructure plays like Ethereum and Cosmos, and Bitcoin's not infrastructure, but Bitcoin's like, is the OG, it's the granddaddy. And
OGs go down though, right? OGs go down like the Netscapes of the world, so there's that.
I don't see that happening with Bitcoin though.
Okay. So you still think Bitcoin's going to be, do you think that Bitcoin's going to be the reserve currency kind of thing? Like it's going to be what everything's pegged against?
So I think that if you're going to compare Bitcoin versus gold, which is the thing that you should compare it to, because it's a neutral reserve currency, just like gold is, I think that it's a no-brainer that we move over towards Bitcoin being the neutral reserve asset over the world over time. If you look at purely fundamentals and you take out ego, right? Because ego is what prevents a lot of people from moving over to better things. Yeah. So if you look at all of that, Bitcoin is much easier to transfer. Bitcoin is much easier to store, right? How much does the government spend per year to hold all of that gold that's in Fort Knox? They have thousands of military personnel that they employ on salary every year. They have an entire massive infrastructure that holds that gold in place. And it even has like flooding mechanisms built into it, which who knows how much that costs, right? Like they pay millions and millions and millions of dollars just to hold that gold there. And that same amount of gold, if it was held in Bitcoin, would cost them nothing. It would be $0. And it'd be much easier to transfer it places. And then if we're also thinking about all these governments moving over to a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, then why would it make sense for the neutral reserve asset to not be on the blockchain? Mm-hmm. When they could have both the CBDC on the blockchain and Bitcoin on the blockchain? From a standpoint of just ease of use and accessibility, it just makes sense from that perspective as well. So it's just, and if we're also talking about energy efficiency, right? Bitcoin can be mined in a fully synthetic process, meaning that we don't need to use the natural resources of the earth in order to mine Bitcoin. We can mine it with solar power, with wind power. We can use renewable energy resources 100% in full to mine Bitcoin. That's not possible with gold. Gold, you have to dig into the earth. You got to use gasoline machines in order to dig into the earth, and you destroy ecosystems. It's just, in my opinion, everything just lines up to where fundamentally Bitcoin is just a more logical solution.
Interesting. Elon Musk would probably disagree on the that's why he stopped accepting BTC, right? He said it's not energy efficient, but that's another conversation. We have to have another one. So Joni, I want to hear I want to hear your final thoughts on where we're headed in 2030.
I think 2030 is going to be where I think Ethereum is pretty much going to be everywhere in our daily lives, incorporated somehow, whether it's by layer twos, whether it's incorporated in our personal finances. I think stock market is going to be on chain. It's definitely going to be on chain. There's too many advantages for it. I think Bitcoin does have a chance to be some kind of a neutral reserve currency. Might could compete with gold, but I think it's going to take longer than by 2030. I think it might be on its way there, but it's going to take longer than people think for that. But I think ultimately Ethereum is going to be like the better infrastructure play, just because it is like the lubricant of a Web3 data economy, essentially, the way that I see it, the oil of that. So yeah, I agree with Ryan on infrastructure plays. And yeah, I think it's too early to really call any layer ones, because I know a lot of people are saying, oh, Cardano is going to be this much by 2030, or, Solana is going to be this much, right? But, if you can look at it today and see which protocols are adopting, but things change so vastly. Like, sometimes there's a lot of protocols being built, and then they run out of money, and all of a sudden they jump onto the other one, right? So people are just hopping on from protocol to protocol. So I do like what Ryan said about Cosmos, because with Cosmos, it's like a little, hedge against what Ethereum is doing, where Cosmos embraces blockchain sovereignty, where instead of, being building an app on top of blockchain and being imposed to its limitations, you build your own blockchain and you set your own rules on it. And I think it might be a good play by then, where it's going to be like a ecosystem of thousands of different blockchains interacting and communicating. So infrastructure in terms of blockchain communication, infrastructure in terms of like the security, the base layer. And then of course you have to add Bitcoin in there. But yeah.
I do want to thank you both for your time. This was like an amazing conversation. I hope everybody's enjoying. I have some links down below, guys, with, Ryan's information, Joni's information, and our past episode. And I thank you both again for your time. Hope you found today's session valuable. If you have any questions for me or just want to connect, please feel free to visit my website, mariasparagis.com. That's mariasparagis.com. I'd love to hear what you're working on, so drop me a line on any hot button issues your business is experiencing. And remember, don't worry about failure. You only have to be right once.